And welcome everybody to Tackle the Board. Week 1 is officially over. Football has been through week 1, and now we're on the week 2. Russ, thanks for being on. This is gonna be a lot of fun. Week 1 was pretty crazy. How you doing today?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy bad for me last week. You did a good job though. Picked way too many games last week. I think I went 3 for 5 with the like picks, but definitely too many picks. You went 4-2, had a good week, closed it out with the Steelers. They closed it out for you. But another positive note, the games that we did agree on, we went 3-1. We had the Cardinals won outright. The Raiders, they won that game. The Bills, they dominated that game. And our only loss was the Vikings, and that was actually a pick that I did regret after we took it. So it happens, and I'm actually ready for vengeance and excited about this week because I think I got some easy winners.
All right, now we're talking. But I think even regardless of the picks, I can at least speak for myself. After this week 1 of NFL football, I feel like things are a little bit back to normal a little bit, especially with everything going on with the pandemic and with sports sort of being on with like the NBA and MLB. I don't know. I still haven't got the real feel of like normalcy. Finally, NFL week 1, it feels normal. It feels great to have the games on, red zone, everything else, and I'm real excited about week 2 to see what we go into with these games. I know we got a good amount of games for this week, so we'll have a lot of info for everybody.
I love when the first week is over with because now I can actually start focusing on actual special situations. When you see the first week, you kind of get a feel of who's good, who's bad, and there's some teams that are good, but people are being fooled. So that's what I like to see is when the public's being fooled already, going on the wrong side just by looking off of last week's game. So that's why kind of going into this week, we go opposite of what the public's being fooled by looking at what they saw from the previous week.
Yeah, you brought up a good point with that. I think a lot of lines that are made in the beginning of the week are based on perception of week 1. I think it can work to your advantage with just figuring out teams that you already felt pretty good about that didn't have a good week 1. Maybe you get some really good value. But besides that, some teams are just going to steamroll, regardless of the line is. So it's a good way of looking at both things. Don't be Monday morning quarterback too much, but get some info for these games. So without further ado, let's get this card going. And I know your first game, we're going to start off right for Thursday night, little primetime Thursday night game. We got Cleveland at Cincinnati, correct?
Yep. I got a like here. Bengals at Browns -6. I like the Browns here. Coming off an embarrassing loss. What was it? 6-38 they lost to the Ravens last week. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I've been on the Browns team. I'm not saying they're going to be great, but they're a good team. They're going to be improved this year. They ran into there's the 2 top teams in NFL. You got the Chiefs and the Ravens. The Ravens got better by adding Dobbins. They're just going to make their run game even better. Just wait till you see him in the second half of the season. But again, the Browns, they're coming off an embarrassing loss. Facing the Bengals. The Bengals are still a bad team. Did you see that game last week? I was watching Burrow. He was just running around in circles and throwing the ball. The Browns, they're going to dominate these guys. This is a terrible spot also. Thursday night game, you got a second week of the season. You got a rookie quarterback going on the road on short rest. That's just a disaster right there. The Browns are going to be very motivated. They got blown out last week, and basically they can't lose this game. If they lose, they'll be 0-2 in the division, and that doesn't look good. These guys know what they have to do. They're going to take care of business next week.
Yeah, this is a good point of the whole public perception of week 1 getting smacked in the mouth by the Ravens, who are an unbelievably good scoring team with a really nice defense. Just was a terrible matchup for Baker Mayfield and the gang. And where was Odell Beckham? Like, he was nowhere to be found. I don't believe Chubb's numbers were amazing. I could be wrong. I don't have them off the top of my head.
Didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything. So this might be a good spot of, would you have thought that the Browns would have been a double-digit favorite at home if they would have kept at least the game close? What do you think about that?
What are you saying for last week?
Yeah, since they played so bad last week, do you think the line would have been more like a 10-point spread?
If the game was closer, I would see this definitely staying at 7 or high, like -7. dropping to -6. It's getting a lot of public action. So I love that they got blown out last week. It's a blessing in disguise. So I'll take the easy money this week. Getting blown out, teams are going to bounce back, especially against the Bengals defense. They were on the probably bottom 5 in defense last year. So I don't see, they had to play against Tyrod Taylor last week. You never see Tyrod Taylor put up more than 17, 20 points a game. He did. That game went exactly how you thought it was going to go last week with the Bengals. Just an ugly game. Again, Burrow just did not. He looked a lot worse than I thought he was going to look. He was just running around in circles out there, and I was definitely not impressed. So, highly motivated Browns team. Take the Browns -6.
Yeah, so just one more thing about that. That Bengals Chargers game, I felt like that there was horrible play calling on that end about with the Chargers. It was constant run game. It was like a throwback 90s game where just ran the ball like the entire time, and Tyrod Taylor's captain checked down. And I just don't know how this Chargers team's going to score. I think the mindset of the coaching, unless they decide to put Herbert in and they let him grip it and rip it. But besides that, I don't see Tyrod Taylor really doing much. He doesn't take any chances. He'll get you a couple rushing yards here and there just to extend some plays. But overall, I wasn't impressed with the Chargers at all. And that Bengals team isn't really that great. But you know what? About Burrow, I don't know. He wasn't too bad. He had some really nice throws. I mean, he's gonna be good. It was his first game. This was personally just a stay away game. I know that you're really big on the Browns this year. So to be able to get this gift of being -6 with them, with tons of value off of really bad public perception, I totally know where you're coming at with this game. So I see that you got them at -6. I'm gonna go with my first game. I'm gonna go with the 1:00 game. The San Francisco Giants at the New York Jets. The 49ers are laying. Yeah, the San Francisco 49ers are laying 7 points at the New York Jets. This is one of those classic games that you're looking at that a team that should have beat their division foe ended up not only not covering, but also not winning the game. And Garoppolo didn't even play that bad. He had a pretty good QB rating. He had a lot of dink and dunk passes with a lot of yak for the most part. Kittle didn't have really that big of a game, and the defense was still pretty solid for the most part. The Jets are a hot mess right now, and now the fact that they lost Le'Veon Bell for at least a couple weeks with a hamstring injury, now they're going to have to rely on like 80-year-old Frank Gore to run the ball, and Darnold just didn't look that hot either throwing the ball, and you're going to be dealing with a really pissed off 49ers team. I see this as a double-digit victory. I know sometimes it looks too easy, but this is a game where they need to get their act together, where they let a game slip away from, even though I did really like the Cardinals last week. Even Hopkins went off like crazy. And San Fran, I like them to really bounce back, -7. I see this double-digit victory. I just don't think they can score with them, and I think the defense is going to be really angry. So,
yeah, that Bills game last week, the Bills dominated that game. The game wasn't even a 10-point game. They literally probably should have won by 30 points. But that's what the Bills do. They just don't dominate teams. Facing the Niners, they have that pass rush. So if they do go up a touchdown or even 10 points, you're going to see some ugly fumbles and turnovers by Darnold. He's going to start throwing interceptions. So that is definitely a good pick. I definitely wouldn't be backing the Jets. I have them on the bottom of my list as probably the second or third worst team in the NFL, especially now with Le'Veon Bell going down. Yeah, that team's just a hot mess. So we'll dive into the next game. I got the Rams -1 at the Eagles, and boy, has that line moved a lot. All those injuries to the Eagles. Again, I went over this in the other shows, how they're going to be a mess this year, and they're just a team that I'm going to be fading this year. Usually 0-2 teams start out ugly and don't make the playoffs. I have the Eagles as a team that aren't making the playoffs. The Rams, they're a team that I see slightly improved, possibly making the playoffs. So this is the type of game that they have to win here. Quick stat here, Carson Wentz, his last 16 regular season games outside of their division, he's 6-10. So he wins all these games in division, but when it comes to out-of-division games, he's 6 for 10 in the last 16 games. That's terrible, and that's in the last 2 years. So give me the Rams. I'll take this game -1.5. Should be an easy winner.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this game. It's really interesting. The Eagles, being an Eagles fan, watching them, year after year, they tend to lose a game that they're not supposed to lose, and then they're going to go up against a big team, and then they end up pulling out a win that they shouldn't be winning. I mean, everyone's betting the Rams at this point. I believe Lane Johnson is going to come back for this game. I believe he told Derek Gunn that he is going to be back for this game, so they got him back at right tackle for more protection. I haven't heard anything about Miles Sanders yet as far as coming back. Deshaun Jackson supposedly wasn't hurt during that game, but only played about 52% of the snaps, which is outrageous. He should be playing like 80 to 85% of the snaps. So I don't know if it was just bad play calling. I know Doug Pearson's the offensive coordinator now, so he's head coach and offensive coordinator, so maybe it was too much for him to take on at that point for the week one. They've been pretty banged up, the Eagles, but I just don't know. It just seems so easy to take the Rams. And I like the fact that you did pick the Eagles not to make the playoffs there, because now if they lose this game, which is looking like everyone's betting pretty much the Rams, if the Rams put them out 0-2, it's going to be hard for them to make the playoffs. And with that plus money, it's going to look pretty good. And that's going to switch a lot if you decide to play it later on. You're probably going to have to lay juice now. So that's a good eye by you. You didn't expect this Redskins loss. It was like a gift for you right there at that point.
Oh, I know.
that was the best thing that could ever happen to you for that. But I don't know. I have a weird feeling Eagles are going to win this game. It's just I don't know. When I count them out on like really tough games and they're not supposed to win them, they end up winning them sometimes. So if I had to pick something, I probably would pick the Eagles, but I'll be pulling for you for this game for sure.
Yeah, this was a game where I usually would talk myself out of it, but I keep telling myself that the Eagles, I just know that they're going to be a bad team this year, so I'm not going to talk. Usually I am on the other side in these type of situations, but that has a feel for me. And another game that I'm not taking, but the Colts and the Vikings game. That Vikings line are just sitting at +3. It just looks so juicy, but I'm not going to back the Colts, but I can see that game. I just think the Colts are going to come out and whack the Vikings in that game. But that is a game I'm just going to stay away from. But I think everyone's going to get suckered into that +3, and I think they're going to be in trouble. So I think this game I'm going to stick with the Rams, and I'm not going to jump off of this game. So we'll jump into the next game. You got the Broncos +7.5 at the Steelers.
Yeah, this is my favorite game on the entire board, actually. I love Denver +7.5 at Pittsburgh. I was really huge with Pittsburgh last, Monday night, I guess we just came off of. And I absolutely love Denver here. I know you had them for Monday night as well. They kind of let you down. But actually, Denver wasn't really that bad when it came to their game. Like, Locke was still pretty solid. He didn't have, like, a horrible game. He was slinging it. Judy was pretty solid. The run game was good. It just didn't work out for him that game. They lost that game at home. Tennessee's pretty solid. I mean, Henry rushed for 130 yards, but he rushed like 31 times. And Tannehill had a great game as well. So, I mean, at this point, I feel like you're getting so much value with Pittsburgh, especially them winning that game. I was almost kind of worried about Pittsburgh at the beginning of the game. Big Ben didn't look that great. And Daniel Jones was kind of having his way early, slinging that rock. I mean, he has a lot of talent. I love Daniel Jones. He's always good for one turnover, maybe two. So I was waiting for that one turnover. He had that deflected pass. The lineman got the ball in the end zone. This is beautiful. He drove down 90 yards and had an interception in the end zone. It was beautiful. But Big Ben didn't look that good, and it was like he was just trying to shed people off like he did 20 years ago, and then he was like a statue, and he would just fall and get crumbled. But, I mean, those quick slants worked for him really well. Juju Smith's been playing unbelievable for him. He's been a great target. He's did pretty much whatever he wanted against the Giants. But I think Denver's D is a lot stronger. I know there's no Von Miller, but I think that's okay. And I also have some other things to go with the Broncos as well. So Vic Fangio is 5-0 off division games. Take it for what it is, but I feel like he prepares his guys pretty well, especially after tough division games. The Broncos are 4-0 after scoring less than 15 points their last game. So if they have a not that good of a scoring performance, then they typically have a better performance later on then. And the Broncos are also 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games following a straight-up loss. So this shows good resilience by the Broncos. And the underdog in this matchup between the Broncos and the Steelers, take it for what you will. They're 7-2-1 against the spread in the last 10. So the underdog has covered a good amount of times in this kind of matchup. So I love the Broncos here. I think 7.5 points is a real big overreaction from a barely a 10-point victory from the Steelers against a really bad Giants team. 7.5. I think it's gonna be a low-scoring game. I believe its over/under is 41.5. I think 7.5 is more than enough to cover this game, and Denver could still win this game outright, like a Cardinals game. So give me that 7.5 with lock, no problem. Favorite game of the week for me. I think it's gonna be a rocking chair game. 7.5 Broncos all day.
Yeah, I see that game being very ugly and low scoring. I just see a defensive kind of battle. I could see like a 17-14 type of game. So if you guys, I would jump on that under.
I love the under too as well.
Under for that game. Just watching some of the that's why that game was a little misleading to me. Just seeing the Steelers because they were making the Giants were on them pretty tight. I saw some behind when they throw behind and catches on the Giants. They're playing pretty good in coverage, and Big Ben was making some pretty good throws in that game. So facing a better defense next week, I don't think. And Juju Smith went off. Your best player's going off. That next week you're not going to have your best player having a performance like that again. You know what I mean? Against the Broncos. So definitely a good pick taking a dog there with a good defense with the Broncos. Those points are just imploded just because Von Miller's out. One guy's not going to decide the whole game. Steelers aren't an offensive powerhouse, so that's why I wouldn't be concerned with them blowing them out in this game, and especially them coming off of a night game as well. Could basically be some trouble for the Steelers there. So jumping to the next game, what I got is the Panthers at the Bucks, and I got the Bucks minus 9.5. Again, going by what everyone saw last week, great spot. Tom Brady, he faced the Saints last week, looked terrible. He basically gave that game away to them. There was a play where I saw Mike Evans didn't run his complete route on one of the plays and was a very key interception. I don't know if that has to do with his hamstring problem. I don't know if he's running his routes all. So we'll see how healthy he is this week. But the Panthers, they're one of the worst teams in the NFL. The Bucks, this is a huge motivation game because it's their second division game in a row. No team wants to lose 2 straight division games, go 0-2 in the division and 0-2 record overall. I just don't see it happening. This Bucks defense actually looked pretty good last week against the Saints. They're not getting any credit for it because Brady basically gave away great field position throughout the game. These guys were actually swarming. They were fast as hell. I saw basically Kamara last week. He had 12 rushes for only 16 yards. So they're speedy linebackers. They get to the outside. So McCaffrey, they can slow him down. I see them getting up a touchdown, 10 points. This is the type of team that has good pass rushers now. So if they do have a lead like this, they are going to get sacks and cause turnovers. So I see a completely different game. Take the Bucks minus 9.5.
Yeah, the Bucks minus 9.5 just missed my board. I really like them also minus 9.5. I didn't take them, but I was really close to taking them. Just another public perception thing. Losing to the Saints, it looked a lot worse than it really was.
Yeah.
With the Panthers, we were all over Oakland beating them and covering. They won by 4. They dominated that game. Oakland, it seems like, and that's just the Oakland Raiders. That's not even the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
And the fact that McCaffrey's their number 1 weapon, Tampa Bay's run defense is outstanding. So they should be able to really contain McCaffrey. And if they could contain McCaffrey, forget about it. Like, what is Bridgewater going to do? Throw to Robbie Anderson? I mean, is Robbie Anderson really going to have another really good game? Like, I don't really see it happening.
Point. That doesn't happen. When he gets 100 yards like that, it's very rare he's going to get another great game like that. Just an average receiver. That doesn't happen. And another point is the Panthers scored 30 points in that game. Bad teams aren't going to repeat. They're not going to keep up with the Bucks. The Bucks will put up 30 in this game, and I could see the Panthers probably not even reaching 20 points. I see the Bucks defense coming out very strong in this game and motivated. So 30-17 is around the range of the score, I would say, for this game. We'll go on to your game. Looks like you got Redskins at the Cardinals -6.5.
Whoa. Well, not the Redskins here. We don't want to upset anybody over. It's the Washington Football Club over here.
Oh, I got to cross that out. I'm sorry. I keep doing that.
Anyway, all right, so we got that out of the way. We don't want to get in trouble with anything. God forbid. So, so Arizona, I love Arizona -6.5. It's a 4:05 Eastern game. As you know from our first episode of season totals, I absolutely love the Cardinals this year. I love their over 7. And now the fact that they already beat the 49ers, this is already going beautifully for my over. And I really love seeing what Kyler Murray really did. I mean, yeah, he threw for 230, 1 pick, 1 interception. But you got to realize also he rushed for 91 yards. I mean, he's very hard to contain. And I know Redskins D-line is like the toast of the town now because they're like, oh, they got the Carson Wentz like 8 times. That whole offensive line was messed up. No starters. I mean, except for Kelsey, and he only could do so much. He's just a center. And no Lane Johnson, no Brandon Brooks, old Jason Peters that can't do anything right now. So that O-line was real weak. I think it kind of boosted up the public perception of the Redskins. I'm not a Rivera fan at all. I think he's mediocre at best as a coach. I think he got lucky one year because Cam Newton was the best player in football and he couldn't be stopped. And that hasn't came back ever since. I think Rivera is just a middle-of-the-road coach. I don't think he's going to really do a whole lot. He might motivate him real well this one game. It was a good spot for him based on all the injuries of the Eagles. You know, I think the Eagles should have won, but it is what it is. You're buying way too high on the Redskins at 6.5, and I understand that Arizona just beat the 49ers, but I don't think that's as big as a deal as the Redskins beating the Eagles. And I think people looking at it, oh, they beat the Eagles, they're a top-tier team, which they really aren't right now. And now that Arizona's laying 6.5, it looks too easy to get 6.5 points, but they're going to have a problem with Kyler Murray. And Hopkins is unbelievable. He had 14 receptions for 151 yards. He's got old reliable Fitzgerald, and Kenyon Drake had a good day with 60 yards and a TD. This team is dangerous, and the defense is pretty sick too. Chandler Jones is no joke, and it's just this team is sick. And Simmons had 3 tackles. I mean, this pass deflected. This team is nice, and their offense is awesome too. And I think this is gonna be a double-digit victory. I think they're gonna get set back to reality, going all the way over to the West Coast. And it's going to be a smack in the mouth. I think the Cardinals have a lot going for them on both sides of the ball. So 6.5, it's still high for a reason. I don't think this line could have been any higher for the Cardinals. I think that this Cardinals team is just going to light this team up, and I love the Cardinals at -6.5.
Nice. Yeah, the Cardinals. That was a game that I almost did take. That just missed my board. There's just something I just hate when. You got the Cardinals who just came off a big win against the 49ers. I hate seeing teams. I hope they're motivated this week against the Redskins because everyone, you see the Redskins on your schedule, you're like, oh, here's an easy win. Yeah, I don't want them coming out flat. But the Redskins did have a big win too as well. So that's why I can see them putting up points against the Redskins. Redskins are still a bad team. They got Chase Young, but he's not going to change the whole team. Lane Johnson was out last week, so it made the Redskins defense look a lot better. What they have 8 sacks last week, so that definitely shouldn't repeat against Kyler Murray. So that's definitely a smart pick. So
and also we'll get this right eventually. This Washington football team. Hopefully they get a nice mascot or something, so we don't have to call them the Redskins anymore. We're gonna get that out of your system. So we'll figure that out.
yeah. You can. I'll stop calling that game out for now on, so I don't make that.
Let's move on.
All right, so I got the next one. I got the Lions +6.5 at Packers. I got the Lions here. Again, division game. These guys always play close. I explained in our last episode about how the Lions were coming out hot last year. I don't think they're going to come out hot, but these guys are good enough to play with the Packers. This is more to do with the Packers, not as good as what people think they are. The Packers faced the Vikings last week. The Vikings were missing their star defensive end, Hunter. So Rodgers, he had 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I was watching that game, and he was hitting everything. The Vikings cornerbacks are both brand new as well. They looked like a mess. There was a bunch of missed assignments and everything. There was guys that were wide open, and then you got the defensive ends. Defense wasn't getting any pressure. You got new cornerbacks, missed assignments. It was just a total mess. A quick stat, the Packers last year, they actually finished 15 in the NFL, 23.6 points per game on offense. So this isn't an offensive juggernaut. They put up 40-some points last game. That's not going to happen again in another division game. Definitely the Lions can keep this close. I'm hoping Galladay is in. If he isn't playing, this game makes me nervous. I do see the line jumping up to probably -7 if Galladay isn't playing in this game. So if Galladay doesn't play in this game, I'll probably avoid this game because I need his offensive weapons, because I could definitely see them getting a backdoor cover if needed, even if they're down 14 some point in this game. But I just do not see that happening. This is a division game. The Lions just came off a very tough loss to the Bears because their cornerbacks went down during the game. So I'll get into that later when I talk about the Bears game later. But I'll take the Lions plus 6.5 in this game.
Yeah, this is the ultimate stay away game for me personally. I see your logic with the Lions keeping this game close, but I don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. Is he just going to start slinging it again and just go off? Like, I'm one of the biggest doubters of this Green Bay team, and they just totally took over on the Vikings. And I don't know where to gauge this Green Bay team. I'm still not a fan of their team as far as what they have defensively, but.
Don't get swayed by that game. You got the Packers under 8.5. Stick to your guns. That's how you got to.
Oh no! I mean, I'm still sticking with it. I'm still sticking with it at the end of the day. But I will not
trust
play
the
this
lines.
game
I hear
because it's just I don't know which way this game's gonna go. So either way, good luck with the game.
This is one of the bigger betting percentage games on these Packers. So people are putting a lot of money on the Packers this week. So. That seems like the big sucker bet, especially if they're sitting at that. I hope they're just sitting at that 6.5, and they just keep bringing in all that money on the Packers. So we'll see what happens later in the week with the injury report.
All right, so I'm going to move on now. I got a game at 4:25. The Baltimore Ravens at the Houston Texans. Baltimore's laying -7. I love the Ravens here. This team here can score at will. Texans defense is absolutely horrible. They can run on them. They can throw on them. A little bit about Baltimore anyway. They're 10-0 after scoring over 35 points versus opponents off double-digit straight-up losses. Last time they played, Baltimore was -4 at home. They won 41-7. Now the line is -7 on the road. That speaks big volumes to me for this game. Being -7 against a pretty popular Texans team that has like a pretty gunfire offense for the most part. I think it's high for a reason. I think Baltimore wins this game by double digits because I simply just don't think they can keep up with Baltimore. And I think when they take that big lead, they're going to be running the ball anyway. Hopkins has been awesome, and Ingram has been good as well. And the tight end play has been amazing. They got too many weapons on this team. Lamar Jackson's going to run them wild. This is a double-digit victory. I'll be more than happy to lay the 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like a big line for sure, so that's a good thing. And Ravens are on a mission right now after losing in the playoffs, and they've only gotten better. So the Texans team is a mess. I think they killed them last year. I think they won by I think they dropped 50 on them last year. It was like 50-30.
It was 41-7. 41-7.
41-7. I'm sorry. Yeah, I knew it was a total drubbing. I think it was only a 4-point spread in that game, and they absolutely killed them.
Yes, that's what I was saying before. So my main point was that Lamar Jackson's just going to absolutely kill them, and it's just Baltimore. They've been a covering machine. I believe they covered 10 out of their last 12 games they've played. Mm-hmm. They have been covering at will. They've been a better stream because they've been favorites and they've been covering a lot. So they've been a big liability to the Bucs, and I'm still going to take them here because they don't put their foot off the gas, and I expect a big beatdown this week. So Ravens -7. I'm rolling with it. Thank you very much.
You got to feel bad for those Texans. They get the Chiefs and the two best teams in NFL the first 2 weeks. It's very rare you see something like that. So I feel bad for those guys. So it looks like their season will come to an end real fast. So we'll get into the next game. I got the Bears at Giants, and I'm taking the Giants plus 5.5. You want to give me points? Fading Trubisky, possibly the worst quarterback in NFL right now. I'll take it all day of the week. This Giants team has a new coach, and everything's changed there. They got rid of Shermer. They got rid of the McAdoos. They kept keeping everyone in the same office the whole time. So they finally got something new. These guys looked like they were playing hard in that Pittsburgh Steelers game. They looked really good. The game was close for a little while, and basically, I said before, Big Ben was making good throws. I was actually impressed with how he played this week. And the Steelers are also have one of the best pass rushers, probably the best pass rush in the NFL. And Daniel Jones, I know he's been fumbling, but this game they actually played last year. The Bears won by 5, 19-14. I was checking out that game. The game was close the whole way. Daniel Jones, he actually fumbled inside their 20 and basically gave the Bears scored on that drive, scored a touchdown inside the 20. So they gave the Bears points. This is going to be another ugly, low-scoring game. If Daniel Jones doesn't give up any fumbles, the offensive line is improved, so I don't see them. I mean, the Steelers got a couple fumbles last week. You don't see guys getting fumbles every week, scoring for points. So Giants, I can see them playing with the Bears this whole time. And I made a point of, in that Bears game, when they faced the Lions, the Bears were losing to the Lions. The Lions cornerbacks, they all got hurt. So Trubisky started putting up yards and was scoring points. That's the only reason they came back and won that game. Trubisky always puts up 17 to 20 points. They just rely on their defense, and parts of their defense are actually banged up. So this is a perfect spot to take a dog here with the Giants. So I'll take the Giants plus 5.5.
Yeah, I think it's a good spot for the G-Men. If I had to take this game, I would definitely take the Giants plus 5.5. That's a lot of points to be giving up for Trubisky that you have to cover 6 points with him, let alone are they going to win the game? Like, exactly. They just came off this big emotional win. The Giants, they're playing pretty reckless for the most part. Daniel Jones didn't look terrible. I think it's going to be hard for you to rely on him not to get a turnover. It seems like he gets one every game.
Yeah. I'm relying on turnovers.
So I don't know if you want to really hold your breath with that.
Points.
Yeah. So as far as the 5.5, I would definitely take the G-Men with that. I think it's going to be an ugly game. I think the Giants could actually win this game outright. So if they have the opportunity to do that. And Saquon Barkley had a terrible game. So do you think he's going to have 2 bad games in a row? Probably not. They're going to probably find a better way to get it. I think Jason Garrett's actually a good hire for them for our offensive coordinator. I think there was good things he did with the team. I think Daniel Jones just made a couple bonehead decisions, the holding on to the ball too much, getting balls deflected. So the 5.5, I can roll with you on that for sure.
And for the Bears, Allen Robinson, they just won the game, and Allen Robinson's already complaining he wants to get traded. So that's how bad Trubisky is. I mean, he wants a new contract, but who wants to stay with the Bears, with Trubisky?
Yeah.
I think they basically put Trubisky in there originally because they knew Foles was going to take over. If you put Foles in there to start, what if Foles looks bad? What are they going to do? They'll say, "Oh, let's go to Trubisky." Nobody wants that. So at least they'll get some excitement if they go to Foles coming in. And Foles always loves coming in those situations. He's never good as the key guy, but once he's the backup coming in and then he's the key guy, that's when he looks good. So we'll move on to the next one. Patriots +4 at Seattle. Who you got there?
I got the Patriots +4. Getting more than a field goal this game. It seems a little too good to be true, but I'm basing it off of what happened last week. Seattle absolutely laid the smackdown at Atlanta. Very frustrated. I did not take Seattle there. It seemed like a gift from the betting gods. But New England didn't look too hot because they only ran about 4 different plays with Cam Newton, either just run plays with him or just slants or go routes, and that was really it. It was really a vanilla offense shown against the Dolphins. They knew they could beat them with that kind of offense. I thought it would have been a little bit closer. Dolphins probably should have got to cover that game, but they did not, unfortunately. But I think there are going to be a few more plays in the playbook. I think Belichick knows that he needs to have a few more plays against the Seattle team. This isn't this typical Seattle crowd that you would have. It's going to be empty, so that home field advantage is going to be taken away a lot. And I just Getting 4 points, Cam Newton didn't look terrible. They run the ball with him a lot, so I think there's going to be good opportunities for the pass game with that as well. I think James White got a little banged up that game, but Seattle looks flawless. I think they're going to come back home here, and a game that should be pretty much closer to a pick 'em, maybe like 2.5 is up to 4. I think a shot where the Patriots could win this game. I know it's going to be a tough game for them because Russell Wilson is playing out of his mind and probably should be in the league. But +4, even with Cam Newton, who I'm not crazy about, but I think Belichick's going to use him to his best abilities. +4, I'll be more happy to take him Sunday night. Belichick's usually pretty good on prime time, especially being a dog. So even without Brady, I think he runs a good enough scheme. I think he can keep this game close, and I think +4 is more than enough for this game.
Yeah, Seahawks actually, they play in a lot of close games, so I could see this game. I don't like this game, but I could see this being like sitting at a touchdown and just I don't know what's going to happen. I could just see some crazy things happening. And you touched on, I just don't like the Patriots yet. I was watching that offense against the bad Dolphins team, and they were just running a basic offense and just running the ball the whole time. Again, it's a game I'm just not going to touch, but
about that game anyway. About that game anyway, I feel like they felt that with the Dolphins pretty much not having much on defense, I feel like they treated it more as like a preseason game just to get Cam's feet wet, which is actually probably a really good idea just because you want to overwhelm him right now, being in a new scenario with being with the Patriots and everything. So I don't think they really showed everything they could do. I'm not a big believer in the Pats this year, but I think at this spot and this time, I like the Patriots +4, so I think it's a good opportunity to get some good points there with a possible chance to win the game. Even though Seattle is playing really well, Russ Wilson is just gripping and ripping it. So
I wanted to touch on that Patriots game because you did have the Dolphins there, and I was trying to say that Fitz magic. I actually saw the box score, and he actually got them down the field, but that Fitz magic worked last year, and I was like, they actually got it down to the 18-yard line, and then he threw an interception. So that's why I think the Dolphins, I have a feeling Fitzpatrick, he's just going to have a bad year, and out of nowhere, I just think Tua is going to be coming in there. Hopefully at some point soon. And the same with Herbert for the Chargers, because I don't want to be watching Tyrod Taylor play football.
It's horrible.
Yeah. So you want to touch on anything else, or you want to close out the show?
No, I think just want to close out saying that we had overall like a good week. We're looking to. It's good that we had a lot of different games today. So if you're looking to bet a game or roll with one of us in one of our games, we didn't have one that we got together with one game with, but we had 10 games that we liked, which is a pretty big spread of games. So take it for what you will, but I think there's good advice all across the board, and these games are going to be tough. This is a tough week too. This is I would tread lightly this week, even though we feel pretty strong about our games. This is a tough week because this is a lot of public perception off week 1, and teams that you thought that were good got smacked in the mouth. So it'll be curious to see how they bounce back. But I wanted to thank you guys for listening. Remember to please subscribe. It's on the bottom right of your screen, probably right near where I am. We appreciate you guys subscribing, spreading the word. This is all free of charge. We're just giving out the information for the people. You can find me at ChrisEbomb on Twitter. I'm ChrisEbomb on Instagram. You can find at Tackle the Board for Twitter, and you can find Russ Reese at Vegas Line Reader, and you can also find me on Fox Sports The Gambler. I'm going to be doing stuff for the PGA US Open. During this time of the pandemic, I've been crushing PGA. I've been all over it. I don't feel like anyone's done it better than me right now. And I'm going to be giving out more info, especially keep those notifications up because I'll be hopefully having some round matchups for the second round, third round, fourth round. I've been finding really good spots in these. I've been going 11-2, so the percentage has been real high, and we're going to see what it gives here. But the NFL has been great for us, and we expect another great week. So I'm excited. And you got anything else for us, Russ?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, basically I give my likes each week, but they can follow my page at Vegas Line Reader on Twitter And if they do want my favorite pick, basically, of the weekend on Saturday and Sunday, I do college football as well. All they got to do is text the word win to 702-867-0559. And they can get my top pick of the day for free for any new person that I meet. So I hook them up with a free pick. But again, follow us at our page at Tackle the Board. Follow our picks as we're being more selective. We only picked 5 games each this week, so follow along, and you guys will make a profit this year. So let's make some money, and we'll see you guys next week. Hopefully, we have some winners for you.
Oh yeah.